Welcome to Eat Your Backyard, my YouTube video channel where I talk about edible things and ornamental things that grow in subtropical, tropical areas like Florida, where I am. So let's go ahead and start our November 2019 State of the Yard. Okay, here's the state of the yard. It's doing pretty well. This is one of my favorite times of the year. I've got to be honest, I really don't have a favorite time of the year. I kind of like them all. But let's go through and look at just the edible things. I'm going to focus on that now. Okay, first of all, hey, there's a pineapple plant. There's another one back in there. Very easy. I just chopped the top off of 2 pineapples and stuck them in the ground, and there they are. They're growing rather slow, but I know at some point they'll pop up a little pineapple, and that'll be fun. I'm pleased to see that. I think the way to grow a pineapple plant in your yard is in a pot with just kind of dry sand in it that doesn't get overwatered. And I think that's, friends of mine, my buddy Dave does that in his yard, and he has incredible results doing that. I don't think I'll have those same results here, but I might end up digging it up and putting it in a pot. Okay, the Tommy Atkins mango is, of course, growing like crazy. Now, if you look up at the top here, see all the little sprouts. It wants to get gigantic. Really not what we want. Especially right next to the house. This way is east winds. The east winds come in this way, so that's west. So, at some point I'm going to have east winds that are going to knock this tree over. It's going to be a hurricane or something. I know it. It's happened too many times. So, I've got to deal with that at some point. I'll probably actually take out some of the main branches and follow some of the advice I've seen on some how to grow mango trees commercially videos and take out some of the wood and just let it grow. But man, bumper crop of Tommy Atkins on the way for sure. My Cavendish Bananas doing quite well. I had actually a nice harvest. I had 2 nice banana flowers that turned into a lot of delicious bananas. I don't know that there's a better tasting banana. I'm sure there are, but I don't know of it than the Cavendish banana tree. The cool thing about the Cavendish is, as you can see, it's a very vigorous grower and it's beautiful, but it doesn't get huge. Now that's about, maybe 6 feet tall at the top of that leaf there, and the fruit is just fantastic. So Cavendish is doing well. Starfruit, are just prolific once they get started. Carambola, as you can see, these starfruit are making their presence known now, and they. I don't know, I'll get 100, 150 starfruit out of this thing. Can't give them away fast enough. For sure, they end up starting to hit the ground. Oh, here's one that's ripe. How can you tell it's ripe? Well, it is not green. It starts to turn yellow and then orange. I had to smell it. The smell and the taste are very close, which is a strange idea. But, yeah, just delicious. They do have a type of acid in them, which I've heard is, not to be over-consumed. I think that's true of just about any acid. It's acid. Look at this. My lemon tree. The only citrus besides grapefruit which has been kind to me in this backyard. And we don't have a lot of lemons this year. Usually the winds blow off most of the lemons. This year they blew off some. During hurricane season we had a couple windy days. From storms, but this is going to be more than enough to make, I'm going to do an estimation here, 4 pitchers of lemonade. That's really my metric with lemons. So the lemon tree is doing well. We can expect some lemons in probably around January. My ever-bearing mulberry tree, this thing, I would say there's sheep's head ghosts that swim. There are so many fish carcasses buried beneath this tree. It's been around, it's way over 20 years old. It just produces and produces and produces mulberries, most of which are just eaten by birds and so on, and there's plenty left for us, but it's doing well. This is the time of the year where it starts to drop most of its leaves. In Florida, you can get in a situation where people go, oh, that tree's dying, and it's like, no, some trees actually drop their leaves in the winter, which is interesting, a revelation, and this is one of them. So, it's kind of nice actually to have some of these in your canopy. And as you look up into this yard, you have you know, things which are evergreen are not going to drop their leaves. All these things I'm looking at. And then you have some that do drop their leaves. And I think that's important because, you know, in the winter it gets less sunlight, the angle of the sun is lower, and then you have the ability for more sun to get through. So I just like how that kind of works out. Now here's a sea grape that I'm trying to do something interesting with, and this will give sea grapes, which are tasty. And this is just, look at the size of that leaf compared to that Starfruit. They're just gigantic. But I grew this from a seed, from sea grape, at the end of my street. And it wants to go up, up, up. But I just curved it and bent it over because I want it to be a, you know, an overhanging kind of tunnel effect of trees. I really love that. But so my sea grape is, this sea grape is doing quite well. Okay. And then, of course, the soft-tipped agave. My advice, never consider getting a Spanish bayonet agave. Because, I'm sorry, not agave, yucca. It's a soft-tipped yucca, because the Spanish bayonet yucca is just brutal. It's like bayonets, and you don't want to get anywhere near them. Here's sugar cane, one of the easiest things in the world to grow. This is chewing cane, so you chop it and you can actually chew it. And you can see when it starts to get this redness, that means that the sugars are starting to get delicious. And this one is just ready to be harvested, so I'll probably harvest that. And the cool thing is I've got lots of videos on sugarcane growing in my yard, but you know, you plant it and these little buds will grow. These are the beginnings of the roots. Very easy to grow. But yeah, I used to have 3 varieties of sugarcane. This was just a piece of ginger I threw in the ground, and well, it's growing. So, you know, if I wanted to, I could dig up that ginger and use that. Here are some Cavendish bananas, which I took cuttings from that other Cavendish and planted. Here's another one, and they're growing well. This is an edible cactus, a thornless pad cactus. I was blown over by you see it's laying on its side. It's blown over by the storms, but it's growing quite well. These actually you can break off and eat. They don't have the little hair spines that grow, even though it says thornless, it does have little hairs, like an irritating hairs that grow. It's actually quite delicious, kind of slimy like okra or aloe, but totally edible and delicious. My Surinam Cherry against the fence is doing pretty well, but no fruit. That's typical. The loquat doing well. It's got bug issues for sure. There's caterpillars that eat through the leaves, and I just don't worry about it. I don't see any flowers. I hadn't seen any flowers this year, so I don't think we're going to get any fruit from it, but this is another one I just grabbed for $9 at Walmart years ago, and it's been growing ever since. And I've had some good years, but not recently. I probably should fertilize it. The Edward mango, looking great. First year it's ever gotten above the sprinklers, and now that it has, it is growing. So I got to be kind of careful that this thing doesn't overpower everything else. Here I've got a mishmash of a Surinam and a Barbados cherry, both of which are getting ready to fruit like crazy. I can see the flowers on both, and little Jack and I were out here eating cherries the other day, and very excited that we're getting into that mode. The chocolate pudding tree is trying to get very tall. Kind of a problem here because, not really a problem, but a situation where it's getting tall enough that it's going to start overshading all this stuff. So I really have to just kind of bring it down a notch so that it doesn't get overpowering to everything else. All right, let's see what else we've got. Oh yeah, look at that. Chocolate pudding fruit. Chocolate pudding fruit. At one point, my vision was to be able to have something to eat, to come out and pick at any point in the year, and I've certainly achieved that milestone. Back here we have another Barbados cherry, a fig that I took a cutting from another tree and planted back there. Sea grapes, which I'm letting grow up a little taller this time to kind of mask out this power line over here that I'm not that crazy about looking at all the time. The Hayden mango, doing quite well. Big tree, big tree. This one will just get 60 feet tall in no time at all. So I'm a little bit hesitant to allow it to get much taller because, as you can see, it starts to grow up next to this 220 power line, and that's not what you want. My Musa banana grove is rocking. Look at that. Man, great banana tree. Very vigorous. And there, look at that. It's got bananas that are coming in. If I'm at the point now with this banana grove where there's constantly bananas. And I think that is the objective for me. And look at this. These, the power of the banana. This sprout is so vigorous, it lifts 2 cinder blocks. And I think it just, actually, it's just like weightlifting for this thing. It makes it even stronger. But I'm going to go ahead and cut that off, and then I'll back that up into the thing, because I do want to maintain this. I don't want to have my whole yard be a banana grove. I do also have some, you can see this kind of ratty looking tree in the back. That's, again, ever-bearing mulberry that I planted from cuttings. They grow very easily from cuttings, and I'll show you what I mean here in a sec. But here's the brown turkey fig. Like I said, I have a few of those growing well. Now, here's an area that at some point I'll take care of, but I'm not going to take care of it in November when it's still, a lot of the days, 90 degrees here. I'm going to wait for it to get a little cooler, but I'll probably deal with this back area. This was a fun little bed that we made and grew vegetables in and had a lot of good times. And then I planted a sugar cane, and of course, well, it just turned into a sugar cane clump deal. I planted a couple mulberry trees. Look at that. That's a beauty. Yeah, I just stuck some sticks in there from the mulberries, and they grew. So I've got 2 mulberry trees growing, and I'm gonna probably deal with that here pretty soon so that I can clean it up. So that's about what's going on in the backyard in terms of edible stuff in November in Florida. I hope this might inspire you to do something similar in your yard, because this has certainly given me a lot of joy. Also, if you're not subscribed to Eat Your Backyard, go ahead and subscribe. If you like this video, give it a like, and thanks for watching. Eat Your Backyard.